Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's YouTube live. Thank you very much if you're tuning in now. I'll allow other people to join in to today's live. So please give me a few minutes so that other people can join in. Please share the video. Yeah, please share the video. Share it, share it, share it. One second. Let's get other people to join in first before we kick off. Yeah, let's get other people to join in. Thank you very much for tuning in if you're already watching. Thank you very much for tuning in if you're already watching. Okay, so today we're going to be discussing the issue with the Gambia. What's going on in Gambia right now in terms of the government of the day and the problems that Gambians are facing. Yeah. We're going to be talking about our medical services, our schools, our shortage of faith, the rampant corruption and the drugs issue that is plaguing the Gambia right now. So if you give me a few minutes, I'll come and elaborate on those issues, because right now in the Gambia, it almost seems as if things are falling apart. Everything is falling apart. Not that it seems, it's actually what's going on right now. And it's very frustrating because what's happening in the government of Adama Barrow is his government officials are no longer hiding corruption in the Gambia. They're doing it blatantly because they think nobody can do anything about it. But we're here as individuals to be able to share our knowledge, our information, stuff that's going on in his government that will allow the Gambian population to make informed decisions when 2026 elections come around. And they will come around very quickly. 2026 is just around the corner. We're about 2.5 years away from another presidential election in the Gambia. So we're in May 2024. In December 2026, there'll be general elections in the Gambia. All right. So our job is to inform the Gambians about the occurrences, the activities in Barrow government, and how those activities impact on the livelihoods of the average Gambians in the Gambia. And hopefully people this time, unlike 2021, people will wake up and take elections very, very seriously. All right? Because the problem we get out with our people, instead of concentrating on the issues that are affecting people, they concentrate on the personalities. I don't like UDP, so therefore I'm going to vote for NPP to stay in power. I don't like DOI, so therefore I'm going to vote for GDC to stay in power. I don't like GDC, so therefore I'm going to vote for APRC to stay in power. Those things we shouldn't be doing anymore. Because what's happening now in the Republic of the Gambia, the crime rates, the shortage of fish, poor medical services, poor schools, everything is falling apart. It's not affecting APRC alone. It's not affecting GDC alone. It's not affecting DOI, UDP, or NPP alone. Everyone is suffering. Yeah? Today's Gambia, everyone is suffering because of the problems we have. And that's why when we go into presidential elections or voting for members of parliament, we need to pick candidates who actually care about taking the country forward. Yeah? If we don't do that, we're going to get stuck in this vicious cycle of, or every time, I don't like XYZ, so therefore I'm not going to vote for them. I don't like this person, so therefore I'm not going to vote for them. Listen to the substance that's coming out of people. We need to move away from the petty divisions that we seem to have in our political discourse in the Gambia. Or this person has got 4 wives, I'm not going to vote for them, even though they've got a very strong manifesto and they've proven where they've worked before that they can deliver to the general public. And they've proven that they can actually work for the general public and improve the lives of people. And that they've proven that they have empathy and they do sympathize with people's suffering on the ground. That's the kind of information we should be looking for when we're voting for candidates. We shouldn't be looking for information as to who is he, what did he do for me in the past, all right? Or what region is he coming from, or what tribe is he? Or we will be looking at candidates and thinking, oh, I heard he's married to 4 wives, so therefore I'm not going to vote for him. Issues like that don't matter in the grand scheme of things. If we keep doing our politics the same way continuously, we are going to rob ourselves of competent candidates. Candidates who genuinely want to do better for the Republic of the Gambia. All right? We should stop listening to people when they make up stories against other people as well. Oh, he's this XYZ, he's this XYZ without substance. Politics everywhere in the world now is full of misinformation and disinformation, something that Adama Barrow's government is becoming adept at. His information minister is misinforming people and disinforming people. His government spokesman, Adama Barrow's government spokesman, is misinforming people and disinforming people. We have to refuse that kind of behavior from our government officials. We need to look at the facts. When we want to do something, and we want to talk about something, and we want to investigate what candidates have to offer, we need to make sure these candidates are actually candidates who have said something that we don't believe in, or have said something that we believe in. Not because somebody said something. Look at what the candidate and his political party have in writing on their website, on their flyers, on their manifesto, and believe in that. Don't believe too much into what the opposition to that candidate, and the opposition to a candidate can come from the government. The opposition to a candidate can come from external forces like the European Union, the United States. A government somewhere might not want you to have a candidate in place because that candidate is not in the interest of the European Union. That candidate is not in the interest of the Arab League. That candidate is not in the interest of the French or the English or the Americans or whatever the external influence is. We need to be able to wise up to issues of this nature, because if we don't, we're going to keep listening to people who lie against our candidates and then tell us that the candidates are not good, or they're this, or they create stories, or this candidate had a criminal record when they were in the United States, when they probably didn't. This candidate has got fake qualifications, which that candidate probably didn't. Therefore, what we need to do going forward as Gambian citizens, everyone who's eligible to vote in the Gambia, we are here to give you authentic information that will help you arrive at a decision as to whether to vote for a certain candidate or not to vote for a certain candidate. Give me a second, guys. Let me sort something out. And that's the position I want us all to arrive at. We want to be able to get legitimate information that helps us decide whether a candidate that we're going to vote for is a candidate that represents the interest of the Gambia's future. It's very, very important that we get used to that way of doing politics. Sorry, guys. If we don't do that, we will have another Adama Barrow, because we don't like somebody else. We don't like Adama Barrow. We don't like Halifa Sallah. We don't like President Jammeh. We don't like Ousainou Darboe. We don't like Mama Kandeh. And then we retain Adama Barrow. But it's now been proven, it's demonstrated that Adama Barrow himself was the wrong choice in 2016. It was the wrong choice in 2021. And without doubt, there's no doubt now that every Gambian knows that Adama Barrow is not the solution to our problems. He can't solve anything. When I first listened to Adama Barrow's speech as a presidential candidate for the coalition, and that's during the impasse, because I didn't know Adama Barrow during the campaign. It's only after the election results were declared falsely in 2016 and then redeclared a second time. That's when I began to know who Adama Barrow, who's this candidate. I didn't even know who the candidates were for the 2016 election. And many people know that to be true. Only people who want to lie would say that I was involved in Gambian politics before impasse 2016. I wasn't. And there's no reason why I should lie to Gambian people and say that I was involved in politics when I actually wasn't. Now, in the Gambia in 2016, many people didn't know Adama Barrow like myself. So he won the election because many people didn't know who he was. They said, according to Doi people, that they raised the alarm to say that Adama Barrow is not a good candidate for the Republic of the Gambia. He hasn't got the competencies to become a successful head of state. And it would be wrong to change President Jammeh for Adama Barrow. But some people in the coalition obviously hated President Jammeh with passion. They wanted him out by all means and any means necessary. They tried violent means in the past, it didn't happen. The presidential elections came, even though the results were declared twice, and even though everything was pointing towards a rigged election, people decided that the election petition that APRC government submitted was going to be blocked. They wouldn't allow it to go to Supreme Court. Anyway, fast forward to 2021. Everybody knew who Adama Barrow was in 2021. There was no doubting that Adama Barrow himself didn't have the quality, didn't demonstrate in the 5 years prior that he would deliver to the Gambian people. In fact, every Gambian knew Adama Barrow was not a good candidate to continue the presidency of the Republic of the Gambia. And I knew since 2016 impasse, when I listened to 3 of Adama Barrow's interviews, I also wrote it categorically clear in certain places. And I said, this guy is not going to be successful for the Republic of the Gambia. And on top of that, from what I can hear in his interviews, he has no scope for improvement. I wrote that in 2017. In addition, I wrote in 2017 that this guy is going to be the Gambian president, but he is not going to be working in the interest of the Gambian people. Yes, I wrote that on the 26th of January 2017. And I said the biggest mistake he's made was to get sworn in Senegal, which at the time under the government of Macky Sall was eyeing every single natural resource that the Gambian population, the Gambian Republic had, so that they can lay their hands on it. Yeah? That's what Senegal was trying to do, because they tried it under President Jammeh. They couldn't go an inch. President Jammeh never gave them an inch. They tried it under President Jawara. When Jawara knew that they were going to make a meal of it, he pulled the plug on the confederation between Gambia and Senegal. Now, I've said this several times before. I do not hate Senegal. I do not dislike them one bit. And personally, I'd rather we have Senegal and Gambia operating in sync, because we're the same people. Cultures are the same. Practices are the same. Exactly the same people in every way, except that the colonialists, the imperialists, put a border between us and said this side is the Gambia and the other side is Senegal. But if you look at it, Senegal and Gambia are exactly the same. No difference whatsoever. So why then would a Gambian citizen like me, especially a Pan-African like me, not like Senegal? What I didn't like about Senegal under Macky Sall is the exploitation. All right? Because I knew Macky Sall was not a Pan-African, and I knew Macky Sall was not a patriot. That Macky Sall was there serving the interests of the French. That's what he was there for. He wasn't there for the Senegalese people. I knew that for a very long time, based on his conduct and based on very strong sources that I talk to regularly, sources that give me information regularly in the Republic of the Gambia. All right. So in most of the Pan-African friends, comrades, colleagues, whatever I would like to describe them, they give me very good information regarding interest, relationships between African heads of state and parties outside of their countries. And most of that information is wrong. It's actually true. Yeah? That's what's been going on. That's why I knew from the beginning that Macky Sall was not there for the Senegalese people. And look at what the government of Bassirou Diomaye Faye has done within the space of 1 month. They've returned the fisheries, Senegalese fisheries, to Senegalese people. Yeah? They've ensured electricity that was blocked by Macky Sall between Senegal and Guinea has been restored. And I think in that interest, if we had a good president in the Gambia, once Senegal removed the blockade on the electricity, and I know for a fact that the government of Macky Sall and other players were delaying the OMVG project. The OMVG project is the hydroelectric project that was supposed to supply constant and reliable electricity between Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, the Gambia, and Senegal. But it has been delayed and delayed and delayed for many reasons. And I think Macky Sall is one of the reasons for the delay. Now that it's gone, Senegal has removed some of the roadblocks that were installed between Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, and Senegal having reliable and adequate electricity supply. So I'm hoping that Adam Barrow will also wake up at some point and say, okay, Senegal has unblocked the electricity supply issue with Guinea. And now they're going to have electricity, probably adequate and reliable electricity to most of Senegal. Why can't Gambia also investigate why the OMVG project is taking long? Because by now, the OMVG project should have been powering Lower River region, powering West Coast region, and the KMC area. Gambia should have had reliable and stable electricity supply, adequate electricity supply by now. Now, Senegal have done everything to unblock their electricity supply between them and Guinea. Senegal has renegotiated their fishing deals, and fish is now coming back to the Senegalese people, and they can afford to have fish at prices that they couldn't have afforded before Macky Sall's removal from power. Now, why is the Gambia still in a position where our fishing deals haven't been reviewed? Our Gambian fishermen are still struggling to return home with good catches after nights out at sea, trying to get fish so that they can sell to the general public. They can earn a living from it, and the general public can earn our ever reliable, well, until recently, until Adam Barrow came to power, fish was our main source of protein. For the average Gambian family that had no wealthy people or wealthy breadwinners, we relied a lot on the cheap fish that was provided to us at every market in the country. When I was young in the Gambia, sometimes if we went to the show, right, the fishermen, as they arrived early in the morning, they would give you some species of fish for you to take home because they never sold them. They never made that much money in the market. There was abundant fish in our rivers, Atlantic Ocean, seas, wherever you went in the Gambia, there was abundant fish for people to be able to consume without having major issues. All right? All right, so you can go anywhere in the Gambia, and there was more than enough fish for people to live off of. Until recently, when the European Union came and gave Gambia 556,000 euros to obtain fishing licenses for 6 years. All right? That's what the European Union did. To our amazement, utter amazement, our fishing licenses were not even being sold by the Gambian government. They were not being issued by the Gambian government. They gave it to Senegal to sell our fishing licenses. And imagine a sovereign nation that doesn't have control of its security, as it is under Adama Barrow. We don't have our own security. We don't have our own fishing industry. We don't have our own electricity. Gambia is now entirely reliant on electricity from Senegal and electricity from car power. Senegal has to sell our fishing license. Our fishermen go to sea and come back empty-handed with very little catches that mean that their commercial viability is precarious on a balance. They go to sea and come back and they're complaining. That's why the price of fish has gone through the roof in the Gambia, because the fishermen will go, they will not have good catches. The little they have, there's no competition in the market. Some of you who are economists, you don't have to be a renowned economists, I should say, to be able to realize that what we have in the Gambia is actually a lack of supply. That's why the prices of commodities have gone up. They've gone through the roof. Fish is one of them. The poorest family in the Gambia used to be able to afford fish. Now, to eat fish on a daily basis as a source of protein has become impossible, not even for poor people alone. It's becoming impossible even for middle classes. You have to mix and match your diet in the Gambia, because people can't find fish in quantities that they used to before Adama Barrow came to power. So Senegal has now renegotiated most of their deals, and they're getting their fishermen back at sea, and the fishermen are returning with better bargains than they did under Macky Sall. We need to do the same in the Gambia. But that aside, now that the people have joined this live program, I'll go straight into matters that have been causing me grave concern, and that those matters have got everything to do with our public services, such as the medical services that we have in the Gambia. Now, it has come to our attention, and women are protesting, people are posting, people are talking about it. It's got to a point where the government of Adama Barrow can't simply provide oxygen to our hospitals. They cannot provide reliable electricity to our hospitals, and they haven't made any effort to put standby generators in our main referral hospital, Edward Francis Moore Teaching Hospital, and or our hospitals in the Gambia, because our sisters are still dying in the middle of operations because there has been a power cut in our hospital. And I can't understand why these things have to happen in the Gambia in 2024. I mean, these things didn't happen that much. Even if they happened, they didn't happen that much under the APRC government. Because the one thing that President Jammeh did was to ensure that his standby generator at State House was connected to the hospital. And anytime there was a power cut in the Gambia, the hospital had electricity automatically. Now, I saw lots of women protesting because of the collapsing public infrastructure in the Gambia, right? There's no medicine in our hospitals. So if you go to hospitals today and you're poor, I feel sorry for you in the Gambia, because there's absolutely nothing that the hospitals or the government will give you in terms of treatment or prescription. Every single patient that goes to Gambian hospitals has to be sent to a pharmacy somewhere to buy medications for themselves, or they have to be sent to pharmacies somewhere to buy materials so that they can operate on them in operating theaters. At our main referral hospital, our flagship hospital, Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, it used to be called Royal Victoria Hospital. I don't think they'll dare call it a Royal Victoria Hospital anymore, because what's happening in our hospitals now is anything but royal. It's absolutely ridiculous what's going on right now in the Gambia, because you cannot go to a hospital that doesn't have oxygen. Of all the commodities in the world, you'd think that the oxygen would no longer be an issue in our hospitals now. It has become a big issue, a massive issue in our hospitals. And just last week, we saw administrators of the medical services of the Gambia having heated arguments between themselves about the corruption that's taking place in the Ministry of Health. That too is not strange, it's not new, because we heard Amadou Samate on several occasions, Dr. Amadou Samate, who's the Minister of Health, on several occasions come out and say, well, this XYZ has happened in our hospital, or we lost some money in our COVID funds. Now they're coming out, their top administrators are coming out and talking about the corruption that's taking place in the Ministry of Health. Meanwhile, while they're accusing each other of embezzling public funds, our own sisters are dying in labor. And you know what, sometimes I feel like I don't want to talk about it because it's excruciating. It absolutely gnaws away at your heart. It molds your brain when you find out that these people actually, they live in the Gambia. They can see these patients face to face. They can see how people, the population, Gambian population is struggling. All right? They can see how Gambian populations are struggling. And then they sit there and think, okay, I'm going to take X amount of millions. I don't care whether the millions I'm taking are going to result in the deaths of 5, 6, 7, 10, 100 women in labor. I don't care what's going to happen to 73 children, 500 children, 1,000 children who die from medical poisoning. We'll take the bulk of the money and pocket it and go to a company that has no accreditation and order medicine for our children to consume. And to make matters worse, in any other administration, maybe the president will not know, maybe the government will not know. But when it comes to light that the government has actually had officials who embezzled public funds blatantly in broad daylight, the government will instigate action against the people responsible. Not in the government of Adama Barrow. That's why sometimes I think Adama Barrow's NPP knows something about all of this corruption and missing drugs in our law courts and collapsing tables and chairs in our schools, our poor performances in our education system. They know about it. They must be getting a cut from all of this corruption that's taking place in the Gambia right now. Because otherwise, why then will the President of the Republic allow people to embezzle so much funds in our country and do nothing about it? Why? Why would Adama Barrow's government allow people to embezzle our public funds and not do anything about it? What is the government of Adama Barrow getting out of it? Why aren't they taking action against people who are embezzling public funds? Can Barrow tell us why? Will the government tell us why they're not? Adama Barrow is not taking action. Adama Barrow set up so many commissions to investigate these issues that are happening in his government. And when the commissions come up with recommendations, he just ignores the recommendations. Oh, well, he hasn't taken any action based on the recommendations of any of the commissions. So people are beginning to wonder whether it's actually the government of Adama Barrow that's involved in all of this. Because if they're not involved in it, why would people go and shoot people in Kanilai and get away with it? Why would people go to Faraba and shoot people and kill them and get away with it? Set commissions for all of it. There was a prosecution regarding the Faraba shootings. Where did the prosecution go? Why should it take 5 years to carry out prosecution over cases that happen in broad daylight before everyone? Why? Why should it take that long for the government of Adama Barrow to investigate these matters that are affecting Gambian people on a day-to-day basis? Why? Why is it taking Adama Barrow's government this long to 5 years to prosecute? A simple thing, because the killings in Faraba happened in broad daylight. The command have said the people who went and carried out the shooting weren't ordered to carry out the shooting, but they thought they were in danger or the nation was in danger, and then they carried out the shooting. Why then hasn't Adama Barrow taken action? If you cannot prosecute a fresh case, which is clear to everyone about what happened, a lot of it was caught on tape, and what happened was not a threat to the paramilitary, the police force. None of their lives were under threat. Why didn't the government of Adama Barrow prosecute the paramilitary officers? Why is it taking them this long? That's the question people are asking. Okay, then we set a commission to investigate Gambia Ports Authority. When the report came, the government of Adama Barrow refused to release the report. Why? Why did the government of Adama Barrow refuse to release the report into the investigation of Gambia Ports Authority and the 400 million, 300 million that went missing? Is Adama Barrow and his government benefiting from this corruption? Are people stealing money and giving NPP some of that money? That's the question we need to ask, because if you carried out an investigation, you send people to investigate something, affairs of your government, the activities of your government, and then people come up with recommendations as to how you're going to resolve it, what action needs to be taken against the people who are involved in the corruption scandal, and you did nothing about it, what are people going to think? People are going to think that you have something to do with that sort of corruption. Because if you didn't, you would have taken action. Adama Barrow didn't. If you cannot prosecute a case such as the one that happened in Faraba, fresh, but you're telling the general population that you're going to investigate the activities of the military junta that took place in 1994, and you're going to bring the council of the military junta to book, how are you going to prosecute cases like that that are 30 years old, 25 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, but you got fresh evidence before you and you can't prosecute that evidence? What are you going to tell the Gambian people? Tell me, what information has the government of Adam Barrow got about the affairs of President Jammeh's APRC, AFPRC and APRC government when they cannot prosecute the simplest of cases in the Gambia? And now we look at it this way. When coronavirus hit the Gambia, or hit the globe, because coronavirus was everywhere, it hit every corner of the world. When coronavirus hit the Gambia government took loans from the IMF or the World Bank, and they had grants on top of that to be able to combat the effects of coronavirus. Yes, Gambia government had loads of millions. Out of those millions, 500 million was allocated to the Ministry of Health to be able to combat the effects of coronavirus, COVID-19. When they were given that money, the Minister of Health said they ordered about 8 to 12 ambulances from Turkey to be able to ferry those who might have contracted COVID-19 from their homes or from their workplaces or from the streets to the hospitals. This is as recent as 2020 and 2021. And the lifespan of an ambulance is not 6 months, it's not 1 year, it's not 2 years. It should last a lot longer than that. The Minister of Health in the Gambia came up and stood before the whole world, before the Gambian population, and said, oh, actually, out of that 500 million that was allocated for the fight against coronavirus, COVID-19, my department lost $148 million, went missing. The same Minister of Health came out publicly, stood on the podium, and said his department is very corrupt. As soon as people heard that the Minister of Health has got $500 million to be able to combat the effects of COVID-19, some of his officials went bonkers. They were so excited about the news that the Minister of Health was going to get $500 million. They weren't excited because they thought this amount of money is enormous and will help the fight against COVID-19, and that they were going to succeed in protecting the population against the effects of COVID-19 and its spread. No, their excitement was based on the fact that, wow, this is a jackpot. We're going to dip our hands in it and take all that money and put it into our pockets. The Minister of Health said it. He said, my department is corrupt. There are government officials, Ministry of Health officials, who are so corrupt and are bent on embezzling the funds allocated for the fight against COVID-19. I'm not making this up. The Minister of Health said it. And he came out again after a week or 2 or 3 or a few weeks later of telling us that his department was very corrupt and the department was littered with people who wanted to embezzle government funds allocated for the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. He came out a few weeks later after that making that preposterous statement to say that actually his department unfortunately lost $148 million that was meant to fight against COVID-19. Now, on any corner of the globe, anywhere in the world, where a minister of health comes out and says 1/3 of the budget allocated towards the fight against coronavirus went missing. Anywhere in the world you go and say to the population that 1/3 of the budget allocated, 1/3 of the budget allocated for the fight against coronavirus went missing just like that, fell through the fingers of the Minister of Health. That minister will not spend the next 24 hours in his job. Any part of the world except under Adama Barrow. Everything is possible under Adama Barrow as long as it's negative. What's not possible under Adama Barrow are the positives. They are far and few in his government since he came to power. And I said this in 2017. I wrote and I said, this guy is not the material for the Gambian population. And this guy has got no scope for improvement. Now, with many people, nobody was born to become a president. Nobody was trained to become a president, because no matter how much diplomacy you studied or public administration, when you get into government, you will stumble. We accept that. No government is going to be perfect. People will die in the hands of the police, or in the hands of the army, or in the hands of the hospital. But those deaths cannot be repeated on a regular basis, not in the same circumstances. People will die in the hands of medical services, not deliberately. But under Adama Barrow, oxygen shortage is acute, is rampant, is consistent. It hasn't changed since 2017. Blood shortage is acute, is rampant. It hasn't improved since 2017. Power cuts to our hospitals without standby generators, without emergency power supply, is acute, is rampant, is not new in our hospitals. A shortage of ambulances in our hospitals is not new, is acute, is rampant, is consistent. It's been there since 2017. What has improved under Adama Barrow? Nothing. I said the guy is not the answer to Gambia's problems. I said that before. And I said the guy has got no scope for improvement. As soon as you take over presidential office, as I said before, nobody's trained to become presidents. But when you become a president, you should noticeably improve year on year. You should improve as time goes on. You have to improve because you're exposed to a lot of elements that happen in the seat of the presidency. Clearly, that's not happening under Adama Barrow, and that will not happen. So I'm vindicated in many ways, because I said before that this guy is not going to improve. And that hasn't changed. In fact, he's getting worse. Now, if you've been doing a job, the same job for 5 years, people should notice the difference in your delivery, in your mannerisms, how you care, whether you sympathize with your population, whether you actually care about your nation's interest, your nation's future. The only thing that Adama Barrow showed us since he came to power is that he doesn't care about our medical services. He never voluntarily went to visit our hospitals to check whether the hospitals are operating at their required level or whether medical services are improving. He never done. The only time he went to hospital willingly is when his government shot the protesters in Faraba, killed 3 and injured about 13, 14, 19 others. That's the only time he got up willingly and went to the hospital to look at what was going on. He never went to a hospital surprise visit or arrange visits to say, all right, I'll come to the hospital today. I've heard about a shortage of oxygen. I've heard about a shortage of surgical gloves. I've heard about a shortage of paraphernalia in our theaters. So therefore, I've come to look at the hospital to interrogate what the problems are. I heard about a shortage of water supply to a point where they wanted to go to Kanilai and steal the water tank in Kanilai. Yes, the government of Adama Barrow could not afford a water storage tank, and they went to a community that was benefiting from that same water storage tank, and they wanted to nick the storage tank from Kanilai. They wanted to steal it so that they can take it to the hospital. Few weeks later, the same government that cannot afford water storage tanks for our main referral hospital that services our patients, our doctors, and their visitors. Few weeks later, the same government that couldn't afford water storage tank few weeks ago was now wealthy enough to be able to take government money, taxpayers' money, and distribute it to their media friends so that their media friends can sing and dance for them and praise them, sing to them like canaries. That's the government of Adama Barrow for you. Oh, we can't afford a water tank. So therefore, we're going to Kanilai in West Fonyi in West Coast region to go and take the water tank there, 600,000 liters of water that are stored in that tank. We're going to steal it from the community because Fonyi doesn't deserve anything good. The people of Kanila don't deserve anything good. The people of Fonyi Council don't deserve anything good. We're going to go to Fonyi and steal the water tank from there and take it to our main referral hospital. They quickly forgot that we know that the main referral hospital actually had a water upgrade, but that water upgrade was not enough. Why? Because the main tank, storage tank at the hospital that supplies our main referral hospital, our flagship hospital, which is called the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, formerly Royal Victoria Hospital. The main water storage tank that served the hospital is apparently leaking. So when they fill it with water, it leaks and it loses the water supply. And I thought, hang on, if a water storage tank was losing that much water, but you need water for the hospital, obviously, what's wrong with emptying the tank, calling in weldermen, contractors to come and weld the holes on it, seal the holes. Once you've sealed the holes, then you refill the tank. How difficult is that? No, they don't want to do that because obviously the maintenance budget is difficult to steal from. So therefore, instead of spending the maintenance budget on fixing the holes on the water storage tank, which is stainless steel, by the way, metal, so it can be welded. Instead of doing that, somebody wants to pocket their maintenance budget because the Ministry of Health has got a budget that is given to them a year. And in that budget is the maintenance budget. Instead of spending money to repair that leaking tank, somebody probably had plans to pocket that maintenance repair money and then go to the community of Kanilai in Fonyi Kansala, West Coast region, deprive those people of their facilities, of their clean drinking water and water that was supposed to water their farms and their gardens. You can't take the tank from the community because that community should be marginalized, should be discriminated against. They're not worth anything. They're not real Gambians. They have nobody to fight for them. We go and steal their tanks and bring it to the hospital. The same hospital that the Minister of Health said is full of hyenas, is full of wolves, hungry hyenas. That as soon as they heard $500 million was allocated for the fight against coronavirus, they started chomping at their bits. They started rubbing their hands with glee. Oh my God, $500 million. We're going to absolutely have a field day on the amount of money. They weren't happy because they now will have resources, adequate resources, to be able to fight against COVID-19 and protect the Gambian population. All they're interested in, how much they can pocket of that $500 million, of which 148 million, a third of the money, went missing. It slipped through the fingers of the Minister of Justice. That's what happened. The Minister of Justice stood and said $148 million meant for COVID is gone missing. That minister is still serving today. The same minister's department went and ordered cough syrup or medicine in syrup form for our children in the Gambia from a company in India that had no accreditation with the WHO. No other nation in the world was receiving their supplies from that pharmaceutical company called Made in Pharmaceutical in India. Only Gambia government went to source their medicine from Made in Pharmaceutical company in India. Apparently, the pharmaceutical company was not accredited with WHO. No other national health service was sourcing their medicine from that pharmaceutical company. And what happened? Gambia government probably cut corners, went around the bend, signed a cheap deal. Maybe, for instance, this is why they do it, right? If the medicine that was sourcing our medication from Pakistan and Egypt, legitimate ones, accredited by the WHO, they're also supplying many health services, including the United Kingdom, because I see some medicine in the United Kingdom made in Pakistan. Those are accredited companies. Instead of going there to pay them $10 per pack of paracetamol, let's suppose, I'm giving you an example. That would be too expensive for a pack of paracetamol, but I'm giving you an example. So instead of going to the company in Egypt, where President Jammeh was getting his medicine from, or the company in Pakistan, where other national health services were getting their money from, for $10 per pack of paracetamol, the government of Adama Barrow decided to terminate the medicine supply from Egypt and Pakistan and other places where we were getting our medicine from, and then probably went to Made in Pharmaceutical Company in India. So instead of the market price of $10 per pack of paracetamol, $10 per pack, they were probably paying Made in Pharmaceutical Company $3, $4 for the same pack. But then the government of the Gambia will be billed the same amount of money they would have paid the Egyptian company, or they would have been paying the Pakistani pharmaceutical company. So therefore, the remaining $6, $7, $5 being over budgeted will be pocketed by the middlemen or the middlewomen. So if we were paying $10 per pack of paracetamol at the market value, what we were ordering before, they will then pay the pharmaceutical company in India $3, $4 for the same pack. So the remaining $6 will be shared between the pack of wolves that we had in the Ministry of Health. And what happened when they did that? It backfired. People's children got poisoned, and lots of children, dozens of children died in the Gambia. They recorded 73 deaths of children in the Gambia. We suspect the level of death among our children is much higher than that. And I think there were adults that were taking those syrups as well, because if you look at it, 2018, 2019 to 2022, several Gambians died from kidney and liver failures, which were consistent with poison syrup, poisoned medication that they were administering to the Gambian population. That's what was going on. The government of Adama Barrow killed over 73 is the official figure that the government gave as to the children who died from the acute kidney infection, which was caused by the poisonous syrup that they ordered from a company, a pharmaceutical company in India that wasn't accredited. That's what happened. That's what they listed. But we know for a fact that several people, not just children, because what happens in the Gambia, people just go to the counter and buy syrup. They go places and buy syrup that was supplied by other private pharmaceutical companies who are now raking the money in, because the medical services is rigged in such a way that the government will no longer store medicine at our general medical stores. They will have deals with private pharmacies so that when you're sick and you go to the hospital, they'll diagnose your problem, and then they'll tell you this is the prescription to solve your problem, to cure your ailment, or to manage it. Go to pharmacy XYZ, they sell this type of medication. And in return, per every prescription that goes to a private pharmacy, the medical services, the Ministry of Health, and the people personally in there will get a percentage of the people that they refer to the pharmacy. That's how a banana republic works. That's how the government of the Gambia is working. Now, the same people, because you know what, the problem is, when I talk about these things and I write about them, it's the same people in government and their families who will jump on my Facebook post and say, you're lying. But they know that I don't lie. Some of these things I've written before, people don't believe me. They're coming out now. Everybody's seeing them. They're plain. Everybody can see them in broad daylight. The corruption in Adama Barrow's government is no longer hidden. They do it deliberately because they know the Gambian public is not going to get up and go and protest and stand up against rampant and blatant corruption that's taking place in the Gambia right now. That's what's going on. They know I'm writing the truth. They know I'm telling the truth. But they'll come, oh, he's lying. Everything I wrote in Gambian politics came to manifest. And it's manifesting now. I wrote about these things. I said, they will start fighting over the OIC, Organization of Islamic Conference funds that went missing. They'll start fighting over the medical bills, the Ministry of Health budget. They're fighting over it now. Adam Barrow will never improve. He never improved. Adam Barrow is getting worse. Every time he speaks or comes out to the public, he demonstrates the fact that he hasn't improved over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Every single public sector is failing under Adam Barrow. Tourism is dead. Fishing is dead. Security is dead. You think of anything. We don't even have our own energy supply now. We have become susceptible to blackmail. Senegal can hold us to ransom because we don't have our own energy supply. A nation that doesn't have its own energy supply, its own water supply, will always dance to the tune of the piper. We will always dance to the tune of the Senegalese. Nothing is wrong if that relationship between us and Senegal is mutual, flows in both directions. But since 2017, our relationship with Senegal has been one-way traffic. One-way traffic. All our benefits, our cashew trade, $30 million a year Gambia government was making from the cashew trade. Senegal seized it from us. Fishing, they seized it from us. Security, they seized it from us. Telecommunications, Gamtel and Gamcel are now going to Senegal. They're privatizing them. Tourism dead. Medical services dead. Our children are carrying stools, tables and chairs to go to school, or their parents are contributing to be able to buy tables and chairs in their schools. Something that we thought was eradicated in 1994. At least by 1996, children weren't carrying their tables and chairs to school anymore in the Gambia. School results. Middle school results getting poorer. Senior secondary school results getting poorer. No sector under Adama Barrow seems to be excelling. In fact, under Adama Barrow, everything that they blame President Jammeh for, they are doing that now and worse. They said, oh, President Jammeh stole government money to build what? What did he do with the 1.1 billion that he took from Social Security? He built rural telecommunication systems, fiber cables. He built rural water supply. He built rural electricity. He paid the Ghanaian families who were allegedly brutally terminated in the Gambia compensation in dollars as agreed by ECOWAS, African Union, and the United Nations. He also allegedly stole money and bought the tent at State House. The same tent that Adama Barrow has turned into a tribal and regional meeting ground at the State House. He turned it into trash-talking bantaba. That's what Adama Barrow turned that tent into. Every time he wants to talk trash to people or the opposition, Adama Barrow will invite a certain region or a certain tribe to go to State House. They sit under the same tent they thought President Jammeh stole. The same excuse they made about the tank in Kanilai. They said, oh, President Jammeh stole public money and built that tank for the public. How can he steal money from the public to build infrastructure that benefits the public? What kind of thievery is that? But they didn't go to State House and dismantle the tent that he bought for State House to ensure our national secrets in the main State House building remained secretive. So when he has meetings with some people, some quarters, he'll take them to the tent and have meetings. The same tent that Adama Barrow turned into his political bantaba, political jamboree, political dancing place, political masquerades taking place in that tent? Why didn't the Minister of Misinformation and the Minister of Disinformation tell the Gambian public that actually that tent that Adam Barrow is benefiting from today was stolen by President Jammeh? President Jammeh built it from the loot, public loot. How can you steal from the public when you took the money, public money, and spent it on the public? What we have in the Gambia now is absolutely disgusting. These people don't fear Gambian populations anymore. The corruption is rampant. The drugs are going missing. That's not the first case of drugs going missing from our law courts. Yeah? But I'll come to that in a minute. I just want to exhaust the Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health told us they bought 8 to 12 ambulances with COVID money. Now they don't have ambulances. They only had one ambulance. Their contract with Riders for Health, who voluntarily provided ambulances for our hospitals, the contract came to an end. They didn't want to renew it because somebody wants to pocket the money that they were paying to Riders for Health, because the Ministry of Health budget is the same. In fact, it's been increased. And out of that budget in the previous years, they were having a partnership agreement with the Riders for Health. So where did the money suddenly disappear? Somebody's taking the money that was supposed to go to Riders for Health to help them sustain the business of running voluntary services with Gambian hospitals. Somebody wants to pocket that money, but wants the Riders for Health to be able to run their business to help the government. How is that going to be sustainable? Where was the money that was given to the Riders for Health in their previous contract? The Ministry of Health budget was increased. No new hospital was built by the government of Adama Barrow. No major upgrades have been done by the government of Adama Barrow to say that because of the increase in budget, they can no longer afford to hire the ambulances provided for by the Riders for Health at a discount, massive subsidy. So where's the budget going? Where's the money going? All the government officials under Adama Barrow who are supposed to be on $5,000 every month, who were supposed to be on $10,000 every month, who were supposed to be on $20,000 maximum every month, are now building mansions left, right, and center, and they're buying houses overseas from those salaries that can barely keep a family afloat a month. They're buying and building mansions left, right, and center in the Gambia now and abroad. Where are those funds coming from, ladies and gentlemen? Where are Gambia government officials who are supposed to be on $5,000, $10,000, maximum $20,000 a month salary? Salaries that are barely affording the livelihoods of an average family in the Gambia for a month. But they're buying and building mansions in the Gambia and overseas. How did they manage that? It's because they're cutting corners like that. They're having problems with Riders for Health. They're having problems paying salaries. As of this week, some government officials weren't paid their salaries because the government doesn't have money. But the government has got 41 million to give to their media friends so that they can sing to them like canaries. The government doesn't have money to buy a water tank for the hospital, our main referral hospital, but the government has got 41 million to give to their media friends so that they can sing their praises. The government of Adama Barrow doesn't have money to buy surgical gloves, to ensure oxygen supply is stable, to buy standby electricity generator for the hospital. They cannot repair the water storage tank at the hospital. But the government of Adama Barrow has got money to pay $12 million per vehicle for the OIC Summit that lasted 2 days, barely. The government of Adama Barrow has taken loans in the tune of $300 million. But still, we had only one operating ambulance as of last month in the Gambia. One operating ambulance. Because Riders for Health's contract was not renewed by the Minister of Health. Somebody's taken the contract money for the Riders for Health and decided to buy a mansion, build a house, or go to Dakar on a holiday every weekend, parties every weekend. Those are the habits they picked up. That's the country that we live in. They don't care about our sisters dying in labor because there was power cut when they were being operated. There was a shortage of blood when they were being operated. There is a shortage of oxygen when they were being operated. Hell, There's not even analgesics or painkillers, is the street term for it. They don't have it in our hospitals. They have to prescribe, oh, go to the pharmacy next door, buy operating cream, surgical cream, buy gauges, buy scalpel, bring it so that we can go and operate on it. Oh, go to pharmacy XYZ and buy paracetamol, buy that. Even antenatal and postnatal record books they didn't have. People had to pay $150, $200 to be able to buy antenatal and postnatal record cards, or what they call books. Nurse buko. That's the state we found ourselves in. Yet the government of Adama Barrow can spend $12 million per vehicle, if sources are correct, with is it Mohammed Jah of QNet or Q Group to buy vehicles for a 2-day Organization of Islamic Cooperation conference in the Gambia. Ordinarily, that wouldn't be wrong if they spend that loan money, $300 million, the right way. But that $300 million, the only thing that was complete was the International Conference Center internally and the main structure itself. Even the fence, the government of Adama Barrow couldn't build the fence properly. The only reason the International Conference Center, the main building itself, was ready was because it was commenced under President Jammeh and almost finished before President Jammeh left power. That's why they completed that one. But when President Jammeh left, they didn't get to the fence level of fencing the International Conference Center, and the government of Adama Barrow couldn't fence it. The 2 5-star hotels that were supposed to be built to create a legacy of the Organization of Islamic Conference weren't built. Even the roads, I heard, even the dual carriageway didn't go past Senegambia. It was supposed to run from Airport Johnson, via Brusubi, via Senegambia, via traffic lights to Sting Corner. 4 lanes each way. It would have had 8 lanes. They reduced that to 3. They haven't done the pavement properly. They haven't landscaped the road properly. The arterial roads that were supposed to connect, 19 other roads that were supposed to connect to the dual carriageway, haven't been completed. The dual carriageway won't be completed to satisfaction until we see the back of Adama Barrow. Are we ready to see the back of Adama Barrow and take control of our nation? That's what people like me are here to help you do. We give you the information clean. No manipulation. Nobody buys me. Now, I see people when I post on Facebook to talk about female circumcision and my personal opinion, and they said, oh, you've been paid by the West. You are influenced by the West to fight against female circumcision. No, nobody buys me. When I was poor and little and poor, nobody bought me. And I've been doing activism since I was 8 years old and formed my first society, community organization when I was 11 years old. Nobody buys me. I rubbish the system here in the West more than anybody does. Nobody buys me. Nobody's going to pay me to fight what I don't believe in. Never happens. So forget about, look, if I wanted position, power, wealth, material, I would have been working for Adama Barrow now. Could I have been his vice president? I was offered all those things in 2021. I told them to stick it. Because for me, I don't get involved in a failed process. I might be involved in that failure because we tried something and it didn't work. But if I know something's already failed, I don't join it. No, I will not join it. If I know Adama Barrow is a failed project, I'm not going to join him. If Adama Barrow wakes up tomorrow and suddenly he's performing miracles, yeah, it's different. Totally different. Or one day the whole APRC party says we're going to go into alliance with NPP and President Jammeh endorses and the executive endorses it. That's the institution's decision. It's not my decision. And APRC can do that. DOI can do that. GDC can do that. PPP can do that. No problems. If the majority decide, oh, an alliance with NPP is better, why not? My individual opinion is Barrow is not going to improve. No, he's not going to improve. My individual opinion is going into an alliance with Adama Barrow would be a big mistake because the guy's not patriotic. He's not there for the Gambian people. The first thing Adama Barrow did when he went to power is serve himself and his family. If President Jammeh's government was as rotten as Coalition 2016 were proclaiming, Adama Barrow was proclaiming, why did Adama Barrow jump and serve himself first? For what reason? Why did he go and serve himself first? Why can't he? Yeah? Why can't he serve the people first who are suffering? Barrow said he was wealthy before he got to power. Why then all of a sudden did he start building himself mansions in Mankamankunda, sending his children to schools abroad in the United States? Why? If he was that wealthy, why did he jump to serve himself first? Why didn't he send his children to schools and colleges in the United States, build himself mansions in Mankamankunda before he came to power? Do these people think we're stupid or something? Do they actually think before they come out and tell us stuff? If he was that wealthy, why didn't he send his children to the United States, the United Kingdom, to study? Why didn't he build himself those mansions in Mankamankunda before he came to power? The guys served themselves for all of the hate that they have against President Jammeh. It took President Jammeh about 10, 12 years before he started his house in Kanilai. His house in Kanilai is not actually finished yet. It took about 10, 12 years before President Jammeh started building the mosque in Kanilai. That mosque in Kanilai is still not ready. In fact, the building materials and machinery that he left behind, the government of Adama Barrow stole it, all of it, and shared it between themselves. The construction machine, the cement, the blocks, every single thing that was supposed to go to the mosque in Kanilai, they stole between themselves. They shared it between themselves. The containers full of building materials in Kanilai that were supposed to complete the mosque in Kanilai, they stole between themselves. It took President Jammeh long before he started serving himself. And at the point of 10 years, 15 years in power, he can justify that because he's been in power that long. His salaries and other allowances and stuff that came with it, he could afford mansions in the Gambia. Barrow came within 4 or 5 months, his mansion in Mankamankunda started building. His son went to America, United States, to a college somewhere. His daughter apparently did the same, but I don't know about the daughter. The son is solid information. Meanwhile, crime rate is going through the roof because people can barely eat in the Gambia. Sicknesses have increased, kidney and liver problems, because our hospitals were prescribing medicine that was poisonous to our population. Yes, thank you guys, Ibrahima. The son was in Seattle, apparently driving fancy cars, going to a college somewhere, something that his dad couldn't have afforded, something his mother couldn't have afforded, because his mother was doing a modest job. Not to laugh at her, no, a modest job is good. I'd rather somebody works, does a modest job and earns a clean living. I don't have problems with that. People should work for their living. So I'm glad his mother, even his dad, Adama Barrow himself, was working as a rent collector or estate developer, whatever he was doing. But he wasn't wealthy. All right? So he came to power. All of a sudden, he was spending big, something he couldn't have done when he was a private individual. So this is what we're talking about. Today, because people are struggling, and when people struggle, no employment, 42,000 jobs in the tourism industry have just disintegrated. Tourism is almost dead. It's Gambians in the diaspora that are keeping the foreign exchange in the Gambia afloat. That's what's keeping Gambia afloat. Gambians, remittances from Gambians abroad. Adama Barrow's government consistently struggles, suffers from a shortage of foreign exchange, and they had to go to Senegal to be bailed out by the government of Senegal to provide them with dollars so that they can travel, or to provide them with dollars so that they can order commodities to the Gambian population. Without Senegal stepping in now and again, we will starve in the Gambia. That's what was going on. Meanwhile, that's rampant corruption left, right, and center. They're stealing drugs between themselves, between the law courts and the Drug Law Enforcement Agency. They're stealing drugs between themselves. No wonder they cannot prosecute any drug dealer in the Gambia. Banta Keita is missing. The other Lebanese guy is missing. Everyone they arrested with drugs, the drugs went missing and the culprits went missing. There's only guy they call Pablo, the guy from Guinea, something Jabi, who's in detention. Even they couldn't prosecute properly. He's in detention for a long time. Every other person that brought 500 kilos of cocaine, several blocks of cocaine, yeah, illegal airports in Sanyang where the choppers are landing and taking off without government scrutiny, without airport security, without investigations as to why choppers, Cessnas, light aircrafts are taking off and landing in that little airstrip in Sanyang. You take drugs to locals as exhibits, and people go there and steal the drugs. And what are they doing with those drugs? Gambia has now become a conduit for drug dealing between nations. Belgium has recently got us into trouble for it. They cannot prosecute anybody. The only people the government of Adam Barrow is prosecuting are the people who are critical to their government, or people who are not giving NPP a cut of the stolen proceeds. This is what's going on. The proceeds of crime are serving the NPP. This is why Adam Barrow is not going to sack anybody. Adam Barrow will not sack Hamad Ba. He will not sack Amadou Samate. He will not sack Musa Drame. If you want to last in his government, steal from the government and give it to NPP supremos. You'll never be sacked. But if you steal NPP's $10, you're gone before you know it. You can steal from the public, just don't steal from NPP supremos and NPP coffers, and you'll be fine. Dr. Sabali cost the Ministry of Agriculture $200 million, Food and Agricultural Organization grant or something like that. 200 million withdrawn because of incompetence. Our agriculture is failing. Our agricultural department has got some of the most qualified individuals academically, yet is still failing miserably. Adam Barrow took away tractors, mechanized farming, and give donkeys and donkey carts to the people so that they can continue mechanized farming. Sorry, it's not funny. I shouldn't be laughing. Yeah, but these are Nyomi people, right? They're not smart. The Syrians in Nyomi are not smart. Adam Barrow's government seized tractors, mechanized agriculture from the farmers. Why? Because President Jammeh provided mechanized agriculture to the farmers. So because President Jammeh helped the general public again, they said President Jammeh stole money from the public. Where did he put the money that he stole from the public? Back to the public. They went, oh, President Jammeh gave you the tractor. Okay, give it back. President Jammeh gave you a tractor. Yeah, give it back. They took the tractors, shared them between themselves, sold some to Senegal, went back to the same Nyominkas, the Syrians, and said to them, okay, we took your tractor from you. We'll give you back a donkey and a cart. All the Syrians and Fullers will accept that kind of a rough deal. That's not a bargain. That is the roughest deal anyone would ever offer you. Yeah, I'll take a car from you and I'll give you a donkey. Yeah, I'll give you a donkey. You can jump on the donkey's back. It'll take you from Banjul to Basse quicker than a car. That's what Adam Barrow's done to these people. I'm laughing because of the joking relationship between the Jolas and the Syrians and the Fullers. But this is not a laughing matter. It's quite serious. And what happens, my fellow economists? I've said this earlier. The reason why fish is expensive in our market is because the demand is higher than the supply. Simple economic principles. Yes, my brother Ibrahim, he won in Nyomi in the local government election, despite the problems in Nyomi. Look at the ferry scandal. I covered the ferry scandal when I was here last time. I don't want to talk about it. They want to spend another 143 million on the ferries after spending about 60-something, 70-something million on the failed ferries. A week after they brought the ferry on with the new engines, the ferry broke down again. And the Nyomi people who are suffering from this crossing between Banjul and Barra will vote for him again. These Fullers and Syrians in Nyomi, they're not serious. We need to forcefully evacuate them to Fonyi so that they can undergo some wisdom training, and we'll take them back to Nyomi when we're ready. We need to do it properly and legally so that it wouldn't look like we're doing we're not involved in genocide of moving people around. All right? But anyway, joking relationship apart, whether it's Nyomi, whether it's Kiang, Fonyi, Jara, Nyamina, wherever, anywhere, yeah, Gambians are, it's our job to inform them, because the reason Adama Barrow is winning in the provinces is because the provinces are not connected to the same sort of information that you and I are watching now. They don't have that connectivity. Electricity supply might not be stable. They don't have internet regularly. They might not have smartphones to be able to know everything that's happening under Adama Barrow's government. And Adama Barrow's government, at the beginning of this life, I said, they are becoming adept. They are experts at lies and deception. Now they've got somebody to add to the lies of the Gambia government spokesman. They have somebody called Dr. Ismail Assise, the Minister of Disinformation and Misinformation, who can add to the bunkers that have been absolutely bombarded on the Gambian people by Ibrahim Sankare, the Gambia government spokesman, who basically humiliated himself and quickly found himself redundant when he came out to blame the United Democratic Party, or insinuated that the United Democratic Party, UDP, was behind the shooting and killing of our 3 paramilitary officers and the wounding of another 2 or 3. When the information came out that the UDP actually had no hand in it, he basically dug himself and buried himself under. And I think the lies were so severe that the government of Adam Barrow itself thought, hang on, we need to appoint somebody else to assist the Gambia government spokesman, because what's happened is beyond serious. The lies that he spewed on that occasion on the death of our paramilitary officers is quite serious. So now, Adam Barrow went and employed somebody who said Adam Barrow doesn't have an intellectual pedigree. He's failing. He's incompetent. Adam Barrow went and employed the same person who quickly forgot that Adam Barrow was incompetent and didn't have intellectual pedigree. And that Minister of Misinformation and Disinformation is worse than Adam Barrow. He said the crime rate in the Gambia hasn't risen, didn't worsen over the last 6-7 years. When everybody knows that the crime rate in the Gambia has gone through the roof. It's getting worse by the day because people are unemployed. The youths are unemployed, no medical services, no opportunities for them. So how do they survive? It quickly becomes survival of the fittest. That's what occurs. But Adam Barrow's government won't want to admit that. Gambia itself has gone down the crime rankings. Gambia used to be at the top in terms of safety in Africa. Gambia has gone down significantly. They said President Jammeh was a dictator. He wasn't open to free speech. But under President Jammeh, there's more media houses sprung up during his tenure. President Jammeh's index in terms of media freedom are higher than Adam Barrow's. Adam Barrow's government has fallen down the list in terms of media freedom. The government of Adam Barrow has attacked many journalists and caused so many problems to our media houses within that short space of time, 7 years, compared to 20 years of Adam Barrow. And I saw again the Minister of Misinformation and Minister of Disinformation saying that's a concern, that media freedom is on the decline in the Gambia. Why? Because the government of Adam Barrow believes in jumping on media houses and threatening them. They're threatening to revoke the license of King FM. Now King FM has mellowed because of it. They're scared. They can't do journalism like they used to. We've seen journalists beaten on tape. Not once, not twice, not 3 times. That Jeffan guy was beaten on tape. The Gajiko guy was attacked on tape. Another journalist in Kotu, when the football field was in a scandal, was attacked and threatened and nearly charged. Another lawyer who's also a media journalist was also threatened, sent death threats. Government of Adam Barrow banned Al Jazeera in the Gambia, one of their reporters, refused to issue them licenses. The government of Adama Barrow refused, the press secretary of Adama Barrow refused to give our reputable media houses the license or accreditation to go and attend the press conferences, which turned out to be a disaster at State House, and they no longer did them. The government of Adama Barrow picked which media houses they're going to give the $41 million to and discriminated against other media houses. They gave $41 million to media houses that will sing and praise them. The ones they drink with. They sing, some will eat and drink with you. Those are the media houses they gave 5 million to, 7 million, 6 million, other sums of money from the taxpayers' purse so that they can sing their praises. The same government that cannot afford a water tank for our main hospital, can't afford oxygen plants for our hospitals, can't afford reliable and adequate drinking water or pipe-borne water in our hospitals, can't afford surgical gloves, can't afford as basic as painkillers are in our hospitals. Same government. The drugs are going missing in our law courts, and they employed people who actually smuggle those drugs to investigate themselves. That's what Adama Barrow's government does. They did that at Janneh Commission, Commission of Inquiry. They employed people who hated President Jammeh, who had beef with President Jammeh, people who worked with President Jammeh to investigate President Jammeh. How is that supposed to happen? How is that supposed to be rules of justice? Conflict of interest in any other country, what's happened to the Janneh Commission and the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission will not happen. So in the Janneh Commission, Surata Janneh, the chairman, was overaged against the constitution of the Gambia. He had beef with President Jammeh for non-payment of tax. Ami Bensouda worked with President Jammeh. She also had beef with President Jammeh for non-payment of tax. Two conflicts for Ami Bensouda, one conflict for Surata Janneh. Those were the lead personnel in the Janneh Commission. TRRC, Baba Gale Jallow, had problems with President Jammeh and fled the country and went overseas. He was the executive secretary of TRRC, the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission. Alaji Sedi Barrow, the chief investigator, took guns to go and shoot President Jammeh and kill him and possibly turn Gambia into a hellhole. He came back as an investigator. Adelaide Sose's daughter had beef with President Jammeh and fled to Senegal. You made Adelaide Sose the deputy chairman of TRRC. Lamin Sise, the chairman, was not a high court judge, was not qualified to become a high court judge, was not a practicing lawyer, was the chairman of TRRC, and they were investigating President Jammeh. Conflict of interest. In any other country, those people will not sit in any commission, in any legal case involving President Jammeh, because they had vested interest. There was conflict. They wanted President Jammeh's blood by all means and any means. The same reason that the Supreme Court of the Gambia last year, towards the end of last year, ruled that the Balfour Commission was illegal because the chairman was not a practicing judge or a high court judge, or was not qualified to be the chairman of that commission, Balfour Commission. And then they ruled that that commission was wrong to take the properties of Lamin Keti Jabang and others. So therefore, if Lamin Sise is not qualified to be the chairman of TRRC and all its recommendations should be binned. We should start all over again. Janneh Commission, Surata Janneh was underage, past the age of a judge. Ami Bensouda was conflicted. Yeah? Sorry, a call was coming in, guys. Should those people sit in any matters relating to President Jammeh in terms of adjudication? No. I'll tell you something. In the United Kingdom, if they're going to pick a judge to sit in a case or to lead a commission of inquiry, even if the judge had no direct conflict with the individual, but the judge had dealings with a company that had conflict with the individual or relationship with the individual or the company, they will never pick that judge to sit on the commission. That's what happened at the Grenfell fires in London. The block of flats that caught fire and several people died in it. The first judge that was supposed to sit in the inquiry had no direct conflict with the council that owned that block. Didn't have any direct conflict with any resident that lives in the block. All the judge had was, he was a consultant for the company that sold the cladding, I believe, or had shares in the company that sold the cladding that covered the tower block in Kensington that caught fire, called Grenfell Fire. They disqualified him for it. He had no direct relations with that block of flats or the council or any other entity. They said to him, you have got conflict. You had dealings with this case before. So therefore, you can't sit as a judge on this commission investigating the affairs of Grenfell fires. They disqualified him. In the Gambia, people had direct conflict with President Jammeh. Surahata Jan didn't pay his tax and was caught with non-tax payment. Ironically, today's presidential advisor, Momodu Sabali, was one of the panels of that investigation that found that Surahata Jane, Ami Bensouda, Ousainou Darboe and others didn't pay their taxes. Those people had a bone of contention with President Jammeh. They had a bone to pick. They hate him. They couldn't sit on any case regarding President Jammeh and be impartial. It's not possible. Whether you like President Jammeh, this is not about somebody supporting President Jammeh. This is not about somebody liking President. See, this is the difference between Gambian political activists, pundits, and myself. You see, one thing with Lamin Tamba is, even if I hate UDP or I hate NPP, I don't want anyone's rights to be violated. That's the difference between me and people. And I'll never pray for somebody to get into trouble because we have political differences. No, I'm different. I don't do politics that way. My politics is my belief in the APRC manifesto, my belief in the Pan-Africanism of the APRC's founding father, party leader and chairman, President Jammeh, my belief in the fact that Gambia is a sovereign state, but we're not an island. We can deal with Senegal, we can deal with other people, but on a mutual basis, on an equal footing. That's the difference. I don't want to see UDP suffering. I don't like UDP. Wouldn't be a member of UDP. I don't like NPP. Wouldn't be a member of NPP. But today, if I see Demba Sabali's rights being violated, I will speak up against it. I've done that several times for non-APRC people. I don't want your rights violated. I want you to be beaten at the polls because my message is stronger than yours. I want to trump you. That's the type of politics I play. I'm not interested in individual fancies and preferences and stuff like that. Yeah, if we're friends, we're family, we're hanging out. Yeah, I'll say, what do you want to drink? Do you want apple juice or mango juice or orange juice? But when it comes to the public, you got to be careful. That's the reason why the Constitution is there and it said something. Because if we put our individual stuff into law, as we've seen, even when it's written in black and white, to say that nobody with an interest, vested interest, or conflicted interest should sit on in a position of adjudication. The Constitution is there to make sure it safeguards our joint public interest. That's what the Constitution is there for. The Constitution determines the relationship between the government and the public, the relationship between government departments, and the relationship between those departments and the public. Because it knows that without those written rules in black and white, people will have their individual input, people will have something to say, and those individual inputs will differ. What I like might not be your like. What you like might not be yours. Today I was writing about female circumcision. People didn't like it. That's my opinion. If you don't like it, tough. I'm not in politics or activism to look for love. I've got enough love. I've got loads of admirers, and I appreciate it. I'm not in here looking for love. I'm there because I want us to fight for something that would put something in the Gambia that will stop people like us leaving at a very early age and travel overseas looking for greener pastures. We want Gambians to travel overseas, but to go and do the odd course here, to attend the meeting here and there, to get experiences here and there, not because our living conditions are deplorable. We don't want that. We want Gambia to be prosperous like the United Kingdom, like the United States, like every other country. But if we don't fight against corruption collectively, without calling me, oh, he's a Yaya Jammeh supporter. But you know what I'm saying is true. Just because I'm a Yaya Jammeh supporter, you're using that to mask your brother or your sister or your mom or your uncle who is in government and stealing money from the people, killing our mothers in labor. Oh, he's a Yaya. So what? A Yaya Jammeh supporter cannot tell the truth? An Usainu Dabo supporter cannot tell the truth? When it's on paper, written in black and white, on video, on photos, in emails, and people can see it, and you still want to deny it? We're not talking about hearsay. Oh, he did this, he sent me there, he done that. No, we're talking about stuff that's in writing, black and white, or video, or photos, irrefutable evidence. You see, when people like me talk, I'm not here because I want a job. I would have taken a job from Adama Barrow in 2021 and gone into the alliance, ill-fated alliance. No matter how bad it is, I would have been in Adama Barrow's cabinet now. And it's not because I'm big-headed. No, I'm competent. Most of the people in Adama Barrow's government are nowhere near my level where I was 10 years ago. If you were talking about academic qualifications or experience of working for government, none of them. Half of them, maybe. Nowhere near me. Maybe 2/3 of them. I'm not being big-headed. I can tell you for a fact. Before I left Gambia, I was a manager of a unit, occupational health and safety unit, temporarily, at age 21 or something. So this is not because I'm in Europe, or I was a principal officer in local government, or now head of service in local government. I know how the Gambian administration worked. But today, thankfully, if Adama Barrow became the president of the Gambia, you cannot ask about my qualifications. This is what Gambians do very well on Facebook. When you catch them pants down, catch them red-handed, they say, oh, he said he's a lawyer, but he doesn't act like a lawyer. He said he's a head of service, he works for government head of service. He doesn't act like one. Why? Because they want to use that script every single time to intimidate everyone who comes out and challenges the barbarity of the government. They want people all like us to be quiet. So we don't say anything. They say, oh, Lamin Tamba, you're too high up there. You shouldn't be arguing it keeps on Facebook. No, I'm going to stop bullies on Facebook. I want to open up Facebook so that other people who are scared to talk, who are scared to write, who are scared to air their opinion, to come up, to be bold enough to come on social media, on radios and other places and speak up. You can't intimidate me. These people don't have no skill. You see some of these people shouting and banging their chest. Where they are now, because they're doing their little master's degree here and there, I passed that. I got that when I was 24. A long time ago. But I don't talk about my qualifications. I don't intimidate people. If you ask me, I'll probably tell you privately. I'm not going to go around on social media posting my certificates. People know. Ask my classmates. They'll tell you I'm not going to come around Facebook parading my degrees. No. I want to talk to everyone on a level that you can understand. If you want me to lift you up, I'll lift you. If you can't come up with me, I'll go down. I'll meet you that level. I'm not big-headed. I'm not too proud. Do you understand? You can't even compare the UK civil service and the one in Gambia. You can't. They're not on different levels. Because the civil service here is several hundred centuries old. Gambia civil service started in 1965, effectively in 1970. You can't compare them. Way like acres. They're not at the same level. But that's the level we want to get to. That's the level Gambia wants to get to. We can speed up. We might not catch up quickly, but we have to do a lot better than what's happening now. So much better than what's happening now. Do you understand? And when we come out and talk, because we're trying to help you guys on the ground, oh, he's this, he's that. Sorry. I hate this about TikTok. Sorry, it's trying to verify because I've been too long on TikTok, and it tells you to put a shape. So I'm on YouTube Live and TikTok Live same time. All right. So TikTok's just sent me a verification to check whether I'm still live or whether I'm a human being. All right. Sorry. But this is why I'm here. I'm here so I can tell you what your government is doing wrong. Our government is doing wrong. I pay taxes in the Gambia. I got projects going on in the Gambia. I pay taxes. I send money. The government earns taxes from the money that I send to the Gambia. Like I said before, we are the source of exchange for the Republic of the Gambia. I've already been in touch with branch leaders of the UDP, DOI, Citizens Alliance, and other parties in the diaspora, so that the government of Adama Barrow can institute diaspora vote. We start now. So if you're in the diaspora now, please join me so that together we can put pressure on the government of Adama Barrow to put in diaspora vote, so that us Gambians in the diaspora who are keeping our government afloat financially can vote, can have a say on who runs our country. Talk to your branch chairpersons in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in France, in Germany, everywhere. I've spoken to the branch heads in the UK, all right, to say that we need to come together and put a joint effort, meet the Gambian High Commission in the United Kingdom, and put our case forward for a diaspora vote to take place in 2026. We are Gambia's biggest economy, Gambians abroad. We are Gambia's biggest economy. So therefore, we have to have a say on what happens on Gambian soil. I sent that to all branch heads in the UK, DOI, UDP, APRC, GDC. And I said to them, let's meet and put a strategy in place, consult the Gambia High Commission, so that the Gambia High Commission can liaise with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, then to our ministry that deals with elections, so that we can have a say on who runs the Republic of the Gambia in 2026. I'm here to help you guys. Nobody's going to buy me. So all this female genital I don't like calling it mutilation, because I think it's the wrong term they're using to describe what happens to our women, or female circumcision. Nobody's paying me to say my personal opinion that I'm opposed to it. I'm a scientist. I don't think there's much need for us to engage in those old practices. I know some of it is culture, some of it is religion. If it's religion, yeah, you believe in the religion, you want to do it, fine. It's democracy. But I can say anything that's not compulsory in Islam, and it's harmful, it's a harmful practice to our sisters, daughters, aunts, mothers, I'll say no. I'm opposed to it. If it's not compulsory, leave it. You can go and say, yeah, we want to do it. You can do it to your daughter. As long as the law doesn't ban it, you can do it. It's your problem. But for me, I'll say, I'm not interested in it. But that's the way I do my politics. You can speak up. I give you the platform to speak up. If you're nice and civil all the time, you can come and call me donkey. Just be nice to other people. I don't mind. You can call me all sorts of names. Yeah? That female circumcision, me personally, if I was in charge, I will not be a dictator, obviously. I'll influence my MPs and say, keep the ban on. It doesn't improve the socioeconomic status. It doesn't improve, it doesn't damage anything on the lives of our sisters, daughters, aunts, mothers. We can leave that practice behind like many others. I said this before, when I was little, about 8 years old, when I started activism in inverted commas, because I was telling my dad to fight against the practice meted out to women who couldn't have children in the Gambia. Or should I accept people on TikTok to come live? Okay, let me accept them and see what they're going to say. But that is going to interrupt my YouTube live. Let me end the YouTube and I'll come on TikTok. I'll invite all of you to talk to me on TikTok. Because if I start chatting with you guys here, the YouTube audience will not understand what I'm trying to say. So, but if you want to go, as I said before, I'm opposed to female circumcision. When I was little, 8 years old, I said to my dad, you need to stop that practice that they doing on the women who can't have children. And what was happening at the time in Jola communities, I think even in Mandinka communities, because Mandinkas and Jolas lived together for quite a long time. We have a lot more in common, 99% in common, than our differences. Now, if a woman or a couple didn't have children, before education came to people's doorsteps, again, this is something we need to thank President Jammeh for. All right? But I'll come to that in a minute. In the Jola community when we were little, if a couple couldn't have children, they blamed the woman. They thought it was a demon that made them not have children. All right? So they take a woman, the woman, go and sit them on a red rock somewhere, a stone, red stone, and then they'll chant something, traditional, cultural, and then men and women will have sticks ready in their hands, big sticks. This is not like tiny little sticks, big canes and sticks ready. They sit the woman down, because at that time they didn't know infertility can happen to both the man and the woman, because education was not prevalent at the time. Thankfully, with education going to every doorstep, compulsory education to men and women, or especially women, people now know not having children is not just a woman's fault. It could be the man that's infertile. It's not just the woman that is barren. Maybe the woman was not even barren. But what they did was they sat a woman on this red rock, men and women with big sticks and canes, waiting, chanting something, and the poor woman has to get up and outpace these people, run as fast as she could. And you know, biologically, most of the time these women couldn't run faster than those kotos, those brothers who've been chasing wild boars and antelopes and rabbits and squirrels in the bush. You can't beat them. They were too quick. And they'll beat the woman as she ran. They'll beat her, which almost represented they didn't want to hurt the woman, but the blind culture of thinking that by beating her, the demon that was in her, that was stopping them having children, will be exorcised. And I said to my dad, this can't continue. I was about 8. I went and witnessed one of it, sat there looking. I went into tears. 8-year-old. I said to my dad, you need to fight against this. This can't be right. The woman can't outrun these men. They're beating her with sticks. And then I sprung up. I didn't like injustice. I didn't like abuse since I was little. Anything that wasn't effective, anything that wasn't necessary, I tried to get rid of. Even at that age when I could do nothing about it. But I voiced, I said to my dad, you need to stop this practice. Sorry, somebody's calling me again. You need to stop this practice. It's not right. But thankfully, with education, people being aware, now the average woman in the Gambia is very well informed sexually, sex education. It could be man or woman who can't bear children. All right. Sometimes both of them can, but their cycles are not meeting at the right time to conceive. That's the problem. People didn't know that at the time because the science wasn't there. Now people know that practice died in the Jola communities. Doesn't happen anymore. I haven't seen it or heard about it for a long time. Again, that's the same thing I'm saying with female circumcision. I'm not forcing anyone and telling them, don't circumcise your daughters. But please, what benefit do you get out of it? What benefit? I saw a statement, genuine or not, with the OIC saying the practice of female circumcision is unnecessary in Islam. Islamic states are reportedly mostly not doing it. Why are we doing it? Is it cultural or is it religious? Which one? Were we practicing female circumcision before Islam came? Or was it Islam that brought female circumcision to us? I've been asking this question for 4 months, 5 months, and carrying out research in it. No one has given me an answer. Whether actually female circumcision was brought to us in the Gambia, Senegal, by Islamic scholars, or whether we were actually practicing it because Islam is 1,441 years old. So we definitely existed well before Islam came to us. Were we practicing female circumcision before that? Nobody could answer my question. The agreement is that it's not compulsory. But you want to do it, the majority want to do it, it's a democracy. Your MPs want to vote to reinstate female circumcision, it's not mutilation. Fine. If they do go and change that law, I would appeal to the Ministry of Health to make it a legal medical treatment. So everybody, every woman that's engaged in cutting off girls should be trained in terms of how to do it healthily and not sharing blades and not moving, cutting this one with the same blade, making it in such a way that no serious repercussions emerged out of it. No transmission of disease from this one to the other by the sharing of blades, which happened when we were little. When we went to circumcision, they did the same. One knife, several boys. We need to think. Let's not go with emotion. Let's think. These are our daughters. You're cutting them. Think carefully. Let's put emotion aside. Let's put religious arguments aside for a minute. If it's not compulsory and it's not helping us socioeconomically and it's not improving the health of anyone, why are we doing it? Yes, I agree, optional. If the law didn't ban it, it's optional. But if it's optional, why are you forcing people to go back to the same practice? People are saying, no, we want our daughters to benefit from their full physicality. If they say, oh, if you don't circumcise them, they become promiscuous. Is there any nation that's got more promiscuity than the Gambia right now with our circumcised sisters? They're everywhere sleeping with man, 2, 3, 4. They've gone to circumcision. Sometimes we need to look at the science of issues. I've been carrying out research for 4 months. I don't write blindly. Some of you think I write blindly. No, but I'm very careful with what I write. I don't write blindly, except when I'm joking with the Serers or the Fullers. You know, everybody is my Sanawia. Even the Mandinkas, my uncles, they are my Sanawiyas. I don't, when I'm ready to joke, I don't care if you're a Mandinka or Fuller or so. Everybody's a Sanaw. I'm a Sanaw to everyone. People call me all sorts of names on Facebook. I know it's banter. Most of them don't hate me. They just call me names. They call me all sorts of stuff. Yeah? But sometimes some things, they're not totally necessary. We can leave them behind. Like the practice of maltreating women, couples who couldn't have children in the Jola community, it died out because people became aware. People became aware that actually not having a baby is not just the woman's. Maybe it's not even the man's. Maybe both of them are fertile, but their mating, their sexual intercourse or lovemaking happens at the wrong time and they're not conceiving. The products of lovemaking pass each other, they miss each other, and there's no conception. With education, when our girls' education was compulsory and free, and all our sisters went to school up to basic level, that practice disappeared because scientifically we found out it was actually not just the woman. Could be the woman, could be the man, could be not even any of them has any fault. They're just not making love at the right time. That practice died in the Jola community. The abuse of women disappeared because of not bearing children after marrying for a few years. We need to think. We need to move on with time. I'm not talking about people doing savagery stuff of changing this. I identify as a monkey today or identify as a cat. That's not culture. That's not our culture. I'm not talking about that. We can chase that away anytime they propose it to us. Let's be careful. Yeah? I'm not saying or writing on Facebook or other places to denigrate our Islamic scholars. No. I'm just giving you, I've carried out intense research. And some of you think Islam is about growing a big beard, wearing a big kaftan, reciting the verses of the Quran every time you come on your political message. No. I separate religion from government, and I separate my religion from politics because religion itself doesn't like politics. All right? Government and religion are two separate entities. For you, some of you will be surprised how much I know in terms of Islam. You'll be surprised. I did Islamic studies at O levels. Yeah? And I still read in depth many religious books, not just the Quran or the Bible or whatever. I even read the Torah the other day. I just read it for information's sake. I'm not Christian. I'm Muslim. But I read everything just out of curiosity. I sit down with monks sometimes, Buddhist monks, and I have a chat. I just want to know. I'm curious. But you guys think, oh, somebody who's in politics or somebody who's Muslim should read big ayahs from the hadith or from the Quran, I would say. Recite the Quran before you say something. Yeah, that's true. They always tell you to say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, to dispel the demon before you say something. But in Gambian politics, how many people say that and the next minute they're lying and offending God and offending the religion of God? They recite the Quran, the next minute they're lying to the public. I stay clear of that, totally clear. I cut clean between religion and politics. Government is government, religion is religion. They can complement each other, but they're not the same. Sometimes they can oppose each other. That's what happens. So, government of Adama Barrow, you send the judiciary, the law courts who are involved in the missing drugs, and the drug law enforcement agency involved in the missing drugs, you send them to investigate themselves. What do you think the outcome is going to become, Adama Barrow? You send people to investigate themselves. Same thing with you did with TRC and Jana Commission. You send them to investigate their dealings against President Jame or their dealings in their departments, and you think they're going to come with an impartial conclusion. Who's surprised when the investigators from the judiciary said, oh, they investigated the missing blocks of cocaine, and found, didn't find the Drug Law Enforcement Agency or the law courts responsible for the missing blocks of cocaine? Where did they go? Where were the previous drugs that they stole? Where were the previous drugs that they seized? Adama Barrow and his government has the biggest joke ever. I can't understand these people. I really can't understand them. But that's the sort of government we have. What I wrote in 2017 is what's happening. Senegal is now got Pan-African presidents. They're changing stuff rapidly. Jomai Faye has changed a lot of stuff. Karen, can you pull the door for me, please? Yeah, sorry about that. I got noise creeping in from outside. So yeah, this is what we face. Let's look at ourselves. Let's be scientific. I love our culture. You guys know I love Gambian culture, right? That's why we started FAD, Fonyi Agency for Rural Development, which is not political. All the people in the Gambia who are in other political parties are in FAD, because I want us to preserve the vibrant part of our culture, one that helps our society, one that contributes to our socio-economic development. I want us to preserve it, like wrestling, like Mandinka dancing, like Jola dancing, like the Fullers with their big chairs and stuff. I want us to keep that. That's beautiful, colorful, vibrant. I love that part of culture. That's why we created FAD, so that we can continue that culture. We can have it written. We can continue. But when it comes to medical services, like cutting off, you might not look at it as medical service, cutting off our girls. Is it necessary? The majority of scholars say it's not compulsory in Islam. Why are we fighting over it? Right? But if you want to do it, as I said, I'm a Democrat. The majority vote rules. If the majority says that's what we want, that's what prevails in democracy. So if they want to lobby their MPs to go and vote to lift the ban on female circumcision, so be it. People decide. But we're here to inform people. And we want by 2026 for us to come with a political movement that will see the back of Adama Barrow. If we want to be able to have medicine in our hospitals, if we want to have our schools re-equipped with tables and chairs, if we want to have our tight security back, if we want to rejuvenate our tourism, if we want to rejuvenate our fishing industry, if we want to have our own sustainable and renewable energy supply to the nation, if we want to be a probable nation, if we want to have our own infrastructure developed to world standards, if we want to be a nation that would compete in the sub-region and internationally, the back of Adama Barrow is the result to that. We need to see the back of this guy. He's not going to improve. I saw him the other day. They said he was opening a health center in his village. Again, self-serving. Yet, other health centers cannot afford fuel for their ambulances, that cannot buy faulty batteries in their ambulances. Most of them don't even have ambulances. They have to use donkey carts to be able to travel to and from places. They're using donkey carts to travel to hospital and back. Adama Barrow's road construction, they're building a road of 10 kilometers. By the time they get to the 5-kilometer mark, the first 5 kilometers broken to pieces. That's the sort of road building that Adama Barrow is engaged in. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this live for nearly 2 hours. And as you know, I don't stay too long on lives. 2 hours is a long stretch. But when I start talking, that's just too much. So many things to discuss under Adama Barrow. You will not talk about the failures of this government and complete them in a day. Not possible. There's just so much happening. I've not touched on the army yet. I've not spoken about the police and the stuff happening in the Gambia police force. When I come down next, you guys will hear it. the Gambia Army, the Gambia Police Force, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, I need to create a special focus for these institutions. There's just so much going on. And now, the OIC vehicles that the government of the Gambia will be billed $12 million per vehicle are being shared between cabinet ministers quietly. Again, because they know they will get away with it. 1 billion something, 1.2 billion taxpayers' money is going to go missing, like the money they claim to have raised from the sale of President Jammeh's materials. Another 1.2 billion is going to go missing. 2 billion went missing from Gam Petroleum. The former general manager of Gam Petroleum and his cronies are free. Gambia Ports, they're free. GRA, they're free. The millions missing from NAWEC, they're free. The millions missing from Gamtel is free. Gamtel is 700 million in debt, and they couldn't pay their $300 million tax. Yeah, that sigh wasn't deliberate. It just meant there's just too much going on. And if we don't stop thinking, this guy was a Jammeh supporter, that guy is a Fuller, that guy is a Mandinka, that guy is from Numi, and think about people who've got substance who can run institutions. And we think about the future of Gambia, your children, my children. If we don't think that way by 2026, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, you might as well forget about the Gambia. I'd rather Senegal come and take us over so that we can become well and truly the 11th province of Senegal that we have been since 2017 in a mask. We might as well take off that mask and join the Republic of Senegal and become one. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad dream, would it? Because we're the same anyway. We're in the belly of Senegal. But I'd rather we did that genuinely than faking it. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I love you all for dedicating the time to listen to me talk about our republic. The time for us to ditch the tribal allegiances, the political party allegiances, the regional allegiances, and think about Gambia first and solutions to our problem is now. The time is now. 2.5 years is going to come and go very quickly. And I'm praying each and every one of you listening to me today will witness 2026 December in good health, in peace, and in better prosperity. And I hope you will all transmit the message, positive message for change, so that in 2026 we can have somebody who actually feels sorry for people, feels sorry for our pregnant women, our pregnant sisters. The time to change the country is now, not tomorrow. The work begins now. I started mine since 2022. Well, I restarted mine since 2022. If you haven't restarted, join me. The time for Gambia's change is now. Have a very good evening. I love you all, my compatriots, my followers from Gambia, outside of Gambia. I love you all. Thank you. Good night.